Celebration, a celebration. Celebrate good times. Come on. Hello everyone, and welcome on back to the channel. Today is a really special video because we are celebrating 6 years on my financial journey. Yay! So as we can see, I wanted to celebrate myself. I got a little decor going on. I got me some wine, and I just seriously needed this pick-me-up just to remind me of all of the accomplishments that I have made. So today we are celebrating 6 years of budgeting, using the cash envelope system, working the debt snowball method, and honestly just growing into a completely different version of myself that I didn't think was possible. So if you are new here, my name is Monet. I uploaded my very first video here on YouTube on April 9th, 2020, and this channel was created to offer motivation for myself and anyone else that desired to learn more about budgeting, using the cash envelope system, and paying off debt. So if you have been here from the start, if you joined in the middle, or if you're joining me right now, thank you so much for being here, because without all of you, none of this would be possible. The growth and support of this community has reached a level I never thought would be possible. When I decided to upload my very first video, terrified, but I am so glad that I did. So again, thank you for being a part of this journey, and cheers to us. But as we get into today's video, I just wanted to have a little sit down chatty video, something a little bit different that I do on the channel. And I just wanted to share the biggest lessons I've learned over these 6 years, the moments that changed everything for me, and just offer some advice for anyone who is just starting or is currently on their financial journey. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so before I talk about the lessons, I want to take it back and just paint the picture of where it all started for those who aren't aware, or maybe you'll just learn a little something about me that you didn't know before. But the year was 2020. I had just moved into my first apartment alone. I was putting all of my furniture, moving expenses, everything pertaining to that on a credit card. I had just purchased a new used car, but with that, my insurance went up, the expenses to pay for that new car, and my student loans were starting to have to be paid again. So really everything in terms of finances kind of hit me all at once. And I remember sitting there feeling overwhelmed, stressed, and honestly just embarrassed that my money felt so out of control. And on top of that, this was peak COVID era. So companies everywhere were letting people go, cutting expenses, just trying to survive the shutdowns. And at my job, where I had been for a little bit over a year, they were already talking about furloughs, and I was terrified. I could not lose my main check. I was already working part-time at Amazon in the warehouse just because my finances were already stretched thin and I needed the extra income. But the thought of losing my main source of income, yeah, that would have broken me. So with all that, one day I remember I broke down, cried, and I felt stuck, scared, and out of options. And I really didn't want to confide in anyone at that time. They didn't even know I was going through this because I had just entered my adulthood. I felt like I had to figure it out on my own. So while I was breaking down, one day I looked over at my bookshelf and I found this book that my mom gave me years ago, and it is called The Total Money Makeover. So I know people have their things and opinions about Dave Ramsey. I have my own as well, but I cannot disregard the fact that this is the book that initiated the spark within myself. And I've had that book sitting on my shelf for years, as I said, but that day I decided to pick it up, read it, and that is what really sparked my interest, as I said. So that book did light a fire in me, and I became obsessed with learning more about money, budgeting, and getting out of debt. And it felt like for the first time I had a plan and a sense of control. And that is what I called my enough is enough moment. You know, I realized that no one was going to come and save me. No one was going to magically fix my finances. And I had to take responsibility. I had to make a change. And at that moment, what I considered my breaking point really became my turning point. So if you're watching this and you're feeling that same thought of being overwhelmed, I want you to know that that feeling is not the end. It's truly the beginning if you let it be, and that's the moment where you can begin to take your power back. So with a little bit of painting the picture and getting an inside glimpse of what I was going through, after all of that and finally deciding to take control, the next 6 years taught me so much more than I could have ever expected. And as I said, to honor that milestone, I want to share a few of the biggest things that truly shaped my journey. So let's go ahead and get started with lesson number 1. Okay, so lesson 1 for me would be the importance of a support system. When I first started this journey, I didn't realize how much my environment was influencing my spending habits. And when I moved into my first apartment, I did move because of my job, and it was away from my hometown, away from everybody that I knew. And at first it felt lonely, but looking back, I didn't realize how much I actually needed that separation. Before I moved, I was surrounded by a lifestyle that comes right after college. You know, it involved going out, spending money, trying to keep up with appearances and impressing people, and following the stigma of living it up in your 20s. I honestly did not like the path that that lifestyle was leading me down financially, and I didn't have the discipline yet to say no, and I didn't have the confidence to admit that I couldn't afford things that everyone else was doing. So when I moved out, that distance is what really became a blessing, because I was able to separate and be on my own. And I've always been a private person, but with that time, I took it to a next level. I completely shut off with people that I feel like I didn't need to talk to constantly. And the main thing is that I removed myself from social media. I did not check anything pertaining to Instagram, Facebook, all of that stuff. I just stopped completely. And by doing that, I wasn't able to compare myself to anyone. I wasn't trying to keep up. I wasn't performing for an audience, and I was just living quietly and figuring myself out. And in that quiet, that's when I found who my real support system was and the people who truly mattered, which if you watch my channel, you should already know who they are. It's my best friend, my cousin, and my mom. Like, those three, that's all I need. And those were the only people that I eventually shared my financial journey with. It wasn't instant because I was nervous, but once I told them, their support was everything. They didn't judge me for me feeling like I was failing, and they didn't make me feel embarrassed when I had to say no to certain things. They encouraged me and they reminded me why I was doing what I was doing. And that's when I learned that one of the most important lessons on this journey is that sometimes you need to step back from people who don't support your growth. And it's not because they're bad people, but because you're trying to become a better version of yourself. And not everyone can come with you when you are trying to get to that next chapter. So if you're starting your journey, I would say first, find your people, find the ones who cheer you on when you have to say things like, hey, you know, I can't go out tonight, it's not in the budget, and they don't make you feel bad about it. Find the ones who celebrate your wins, even when they're small, because without my main true support system, I know I wouldn't have made it. The next lesson that I want to talk about are sacrifices. So I know it's not a word that we like to hear, and when people hear that word, it usually triggers a negative reaction. It sounds like you're losing something, giving up something, or you're punishing yourself. And at first, I did feel that way as well, but as I got deeper into my financial journey, I realized that I had to change the way I looked at that word. I stopped seeing sacrifices as punishments and started seeing them as investments, choices that I am going to decide to make now so that my future self won't have to sacrifice that much later. And an example that I can pull for myself of lifestyle change at the time was me cutting back on eating out. I loved to go out to eat. It was convenient, it was social, but it also drained my bank account. So I had to learn how to meal prep, how to grocery shop on a budget, and how to actually cook consistently at home. And to be honest, you guys, in terms of COVID, I know it was awful. It was traumatic. It was an experience. But for myself personally, it also became something that needed to happen, or I don't think I would have had the willpower to actually do it, because many of the restaurants were shut down, or I personally was too scared to eat out anyway. So it forced me to have to eat at home and not spend at these places. And another thing was a lot of my vacations, concerts, events, all of these things that I had planned, that I had put on my credit card prior to me deciding to change my life, those also got canceled. So I had a flood of refunds that were coming back for things that I had thought I was going to do. And seeing that money come back into my account really put into perspective everything that I was doing. It made me realize how much I was spending on things that weren't helping me get out of the situation that I was in, and I knew I had to change that. And another thing, lockdown forced me to dial back on beauty and hair expenses, because again, everything was closed. I had to learn how to do things myself or on a budget, and as strange as it sounds, the isolation really just allowed me to open my eyes and again make those sacrifices that I knew I had to do. It showed me that I didn't need all of the extras. I didn't need to keep up with everyone. I didn't need to spend money to feel good. I just needed to be disciplined and actually stick to a plan. And I must say, those sacrifices ended up being some of the most beneficial choices that I made for myself, because it allowed me to create a habit that to this day I still instill in myself and learn from doing those things. So definitely look into what you need to give up, take an honest, true look in the mirror, figure it out what it is, and you have to make the change. All right, and getting into the last topic, because I don't want to talk your head off. I feel like I can talk about these things for quite some time. But the last thing that I did want to highlight is that while being on this journey, I had to learn the power of giving myself grace and trusting the process. Because let me tell you, none of this stuff happened overnight. It is hard to apply new habits and change your lifestyle and enforce things like sticking on a budget if that is not something that you normally do. I had to constantly keep making the choice to do things differently, even on the days when I felt defeated. And that is where many people give up or break down, but you have to remind yourself why. That's why you have to have a strong reason of why you are doing this journey, or you will fall off. My motivation at the time was getting out of debt and knowing the life that I can live without debt. So you need something that's going to constantly push you to the finish line for a motivator. And managing money for myself, and like a lot of people, it isn't something that I grew up with. I was literally learning with each video as I uploaded it. People would comment and I would learn new things. I would read a book and I would learn more things. Look at YouTube videos. It was constant studying and learning. While I was doing it, I made mistakes and I learned how to alter those to make it work for myself, because that is another thing. In terms of personal finance, remember, it is personal. If your budget doesn't reflect your real life, your real income, you will burn out trying to be somebody that you're not. And in terms of watching other YouTube videos and people that were in similar situations, I did feel like they inspired me, but sometimes I have to be honest, they did discourage me. And I had to remind myself, this is my journey and I am not the same as somebody else that I'm watching. A lot of people had partners or a significant other that they were splitting bills with. I don't have that luxury. It was only me. A few people that I watched, they were on year 2 in their journey and I'm only on month 3. So I can't compare myself to what they are doing. So once I accepted that my journey was going to look different, I stopped comparing, I stopped rushing, and I stopped feeling behind. And I just started to trust that if I stayed consistent, things will work out over time. So once again, giving yourself grace, it doesn't mean letting yourself off the hook. It is meant to acknowledge that you're human, you're learning, and that mistakes don't erase progress. And that mindset is what really kept me going for these 6 years. But you guys, I don't know if this video is long or short. Either way, I just wanted to talk about topics that I feel like really helped me. And as I wrap up this video, I hope that hearing my story offered you some insight or some encouragement. Maybe you learned something about me that you didn't know before, or maybe you heard something that relates to what you're going through right now. If I could talk to my 2020 self, she truly wouldn't believe the woman that we are today and the things that I have been able to achieve that I didn't think were possible, and the things that are yet to come. And honestly, there's so much more I could share about this journey. And if you want more videos like this, or you enjoy this type of content, then definitely let me know. I'd love to open up more if this is something that you guys want to. So definitely let me know down below. If you connected with anything I shared today, be sure to drop a comment. And if you're on your own financial journey, just know that I am rooting for you every step of the way. Thank you all so much for being here with me, for supporting my channel, and for celebrating this 6-year milestone. I'm excited for what's ahead, and I hope you'll continue watching this journey while I am still figuring it out. So with all that, you guys, thank you all so much as always, and I will catch you all next time within my next video. Bye guys.